In this video, I will be showing you all how to create a mold so you can create your own precast H-beam or I-beam fence post. Alright, so starting off with this U-channel right here, I didn't check it when I got it from the metal yard, but it did have a dent in it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and use some vice grips to remove this dent from the metal. This should make it easier to remove the concrete in the future once the concrete has dried. Okay, so here we're going to take a couple measurements just so we can have this directly in the center of this flat piece of steel. The goal behind this is this U-channel is going to act as the part where the slate slides through in that precast post. So as you can see here, we're taking a lot of measurements just to make sure we get this completely right, because we do not want to mess up this part, especially since this is a mold that's going to create multiple other precast fence posts in this case. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to first put on our safety gear for our welding, just because we don't want to get any sunburns or any radiation, that UV light on your skin. Next here, we're going to clamp this U-channel down now that we have it directly in the center, and then we're going to just run a couple of beads on both sides of this U-channel to that flat bar. And the only real reason why I'm not running full beads is just because it's not something that just requires full beads, at least from what I was seeing. Maybe in the future, if I go back and redo this, I might do full beads, but I didn't want to really waste welding rods, and I also didn't want to worry about warping as well from this. So I just went ahead and do a couple beads like every 8 through 10 inches apart. All right, so next what we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and cut out these end caps. These end caps are basically going to allow us to disassemble and assemble the mold and pretty much be able to get out these fence posts when needed. right, so next we're going to come over here to the drill press, and we are going to be making our secondary end caps. This is what really keeps everything together. It's pretty much a 5 or 6 piece mold, and these are just 2 separate pieces that will not be welded. Will only be bolted on to the outsides of the main frames. All right, so now that we have the secondary end caps completed, what I ended up doing was using those end caps to drill the holes into the first end caps that we made and welded onto the side frames. And as you can see here, this is kind of how we would be assembling and disassembling these molds in the future. And this also keeps the spacing correct for when we pour the concrete in here as well. All right, so if we look here, this is actually 6 inches down here. That is incorrect. This should have been 8 inches wide, just because when this goes all the way to the edge, if it was all the way at the edge, these bolts were actually off the edge for the bolts on the inside, or the holes on the inside. So pretty much what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna either need to get an 8-inch one, or I can weld some flat bar here and then make it wider and it'll be fine. Because like I said, the inside of the floor here is fine. It's just where the bolts line up on the outside, on the flanges don't. So that's just one thing there. And yeah, so I'm just gonna put these 2 in because I forgot I need more of these 3/8 screws and nuts. So. Oh, and one thing I am going to mention is if I was to actually do this, I would actually put the bolts in, the screws in this way over the other way, just because once we actually get, concrete in here and everything, that it might be harder to get the bolts out that way. So just something to keep in mind. Oh, what am I doing? That's how you know I'm tired. But anyways, let's see which way. Cool. And I drilled these to about 7/16, even though these are 3/8, just to give me some play in here. And then move this one out where we need to be. And it's kind of hard to see. The reason why the bottom one is not fully lining up here is only because it's not clamped down, so it's kind of angled a little bit. But once you angle it right, if I put that one in first, it should straighten out a little bit better. Like I said, it takes some finagle to get it right. So once we have the flat bar thing correct, see how the top one lines up better now, and the other one over here lines up. So yeah. So like I said, it just takes some time to get it moving around. But like I said, once we get that in, tighten those up, you can kind of see here, we now have our mold. This is pretty cool. One thing I should have showed y'all before I just put this on, and now that I have this kind of locked in, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these down on the outside so they don't move. All right. Let me actually move this back just a little bit. All right, so this is how it looks when you take it off. As you see here, we have our H down there, our H up here, and then this is like the center part where the beam is going to be. So next, all we need to do is have like basically some suspended rebar in here with our, we just really need our suspended rebar in here with that are kind of just tied or whatever. I can weld it or tie it, whatever way I want to do it. And then I should be good for doing my first actual like mold. So I do have rebar here. I'm just not sure I want to use a 1/2 inch rebar for this, just because, like I said, I'd rather use the cheaper one. So for now, I'm just glad I got to this part. I'm gonna come back maybe tomorrow and then grind all this down to be a little bit more flusher. And then I'm still thinking if I don't think I need to run a full bead because of the way I'm not using that much concrete in here. I don't ever see these breaking, but I may come back and just throw, clean up all the slag on this and then throw a couple more beads here. I don't think I want to run a full bead because I just don't see the point of running a full bead here. Might throw some more beads on the back, but like I said, that's about it as far as like welding goes on this thing. So yeah, if y'all like it, please go ahead and like and subscribe.